Welcome to the Global Exclusive Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Shadow, and we're joined by Muspel, Barrows, Dream, and Cotton. Well, Cotton in spirit. We figured out that she can't join us because she can't wake up at 7 a.m. Or, in other words, daylight savings a bitch.
Mm. Well,
But
daylight savings is a bitch, and also Cotton really like early morning times is her kryptonite. Like
yeah, I think Sinzar and Deuce has been more on this podcast recently than Cotton ever has. So there's that.
yeah, there's that. There's that. We're kind of missing the bar of snow in the podcast, so
I've
hoping
been
to see you
holding
soon,
down the
Cotton.
fort on that front.
Well, I mean, you're not so much a bar of snow person as you just fuck me over and say something entirely different.
So
That's
this
more
week we've
cute.
got Final Fantasy 15 units, and a lot of exciting things did happen. And I think this is probably the more lively releases in a while.
Shadow, I'm so proud of you. You're interrupting Barrows like a pro.
Well, hey, this just means I need to double down on the dick talk. That's what it means.
No.
Yes,
so the first unit
exactly
we've got this week is Nyx.
I actually think that Nyx is pretty interesting what they did with him. So yeah, let's talk about
Really?
Nyx.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is gonna be good.
Well, okay. So Nyx on his base form, he has some damaging moves, but he has an 85% break. That's up that doesn't have 100% uptime. But I thought it's his passive, I guess, quote unquote. His ability to change his auto attack changes.
Oh, okay.
And I think everyone has been having fun with that shit, especially Dream at one point, until Sinzar said no. You want to talk about that, Dream?
I guess, sure. Like I think he's the first AoE auto attack change, and it's got a defense break on it as well. Though unfortunately, that doesn't hit before the damage, and so he makes it very easy to clear waves. And like for the Mog King, if you put just say Berserk on him, he will automatically clear through all of the waves without having to do anything. But apparently for some people that interferes with them stealing Gil on all the waves, and so they don't like it and temporarily remove you as a friend.
Yeah, it's kind of like Nexus, but nicer, I guess.
No, but this time it's Nexus with a purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought I was helping, okay?
Yeah, no. I mean, I see it. It is definitely Nexus with a purpose. I buy that 100%. I do. But it's still interesting that we're getting these because I like the auto attack abilities. They do. I mean, this is what I would have wanted the auto attack ability to be. Like, hey, I can now turn this unit into a event farmer on auto, kind of. Which,
I mean,
like,
as far as I've seen, like from now on, JP puts an auto attack upgrade on every unit.
Yes.
Every unit.
Noctis has it too. But Nyx's one's really cool because it's AoE, it has breaks. And you can abuse a lot of things. And somebody mentioned that Lightning's TMR, OG Lightning, the Aurora Scarf is finally useful.
Aurora Scarf.
Yeah.
So
and the new upgraded
4 times.
Mm-hmm.
As for the rest of his kit, we already mentioned the 85% break with partial uptime. He gets a new suicide skill. This one buffs attack and magic by 300% and LB damage by 100% for all his allies. And then he can do some pretty significant bursts in his Brave Shift form using his LB. The problem is he doesn't have a good way to fill his LB, I don't think, right?
Yeah, it's pretty cheap, and he's got some autofill, so it will fill quite quickly.
Yeah.
Just naturally.
True.
It's not that bad.
And his LB has a light area effect where it reduces light resistance. So this is additive to imperils. Yeah. So that's actually really good. Yes. I mean, for the next unit we might be talking about, but he has certain things that he can do might warrant you a slot in the team.
Yeah. I feel like we should also mention that he's free because they're giving us enough to EX+1 him from scratch. Mm-hmm. And his STMR is very solid for tanks. His TM is fucking terrible though. So be sure to grab all that stuff from Mog King.
Yeah. And I mean, he's kind of designed like a DV unit, as many free units sometimes are, because, he has the non-full uptime breaks, but you only need 1 turn of breaks on DV. And then he has his light area effect that increases your imperil, which is super nice. So, and the big burst, so he's not a useless slot on a light team. That's nice.
Dream, you were going to say something?
Yeah. a small story with his kid. I was almost so happy with him just as like a chainer because on his shift stuff he's a pretty competent light chainer, and like for once all of his stuff actually has like good uptime and cooldowns for a nice rotation. And then I noticed he's a Reagan and can only stay in it 4 out of 8 turns, and it makes him gouge.
Yeah.
Yeah. During his
like-
time in his Brave shift, he's actually really, really good. And if you can keep him in, if you can somehow get all the burst out at that point, it's amazing. But otherwise, gosh, he's kind of hard to suggest as a damage dealer.
Yeah, half the time he's a pretty good damage dealer.
Dream, question: why is it that on the sheet you have him starting in his base form?
Because it's 4 turns on, 4 turns off. I was just like, it's going to be 8-turn rotation regardless. Doing it as the second 4 means the LB is guaranteed full.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
You don't actually have to wait that long in practice, but just for smooth rotation.
But overall, I think he's a great upgrade, especially considering he's a free unit and everyone should grab him. And having an EX plus 1 for free is actually really important for Chronicle battles, which we'll talk about later. But Cindy is our next unit. Cindy is
briefly
a unit that exists.
Cindy has an STMR. That's the only thing about her worth mentioning. It's 100% machine killer, physically and magical, which is good for
Weird Muspel only talks about the STMR. I actually do think she has one, I don't know, semi-useful thing, I guess, in her kit. She actually has a Dispel Gut that doesn't require the Dispel Gut trick on your party, so that's something.
True, I guess. Like, she's not the only unit that does that, but yeah, she also has a machine killer buff. But I don't think anybody's going to be using her for anything ever.
Hey, here's the edge case. I can see her being used in a lightning team against the machine enemy in DV, where you also need to go beyond turn 3. Okay.
So let's say you're using Ibarra's base form LBs. You need an LB damage buff, and then you also need the machine killer buff, and you need the lightning damage buff. So yes, for that one situation, sure.
Yeah. See. And she also has an auto attack upgrade, and the Shadow loves those. and it's also AoE, so.
But yeah,
and supposedly
not really much
it even
to say
summons
about
a truck.
Yeah, I think all the FF15 units have probably one of the better auto attack animations. What was that guy who summoned a car during his LB animation? Liberatus, yeah, that was cool. And this one, Cindy summons a truck. Love it. Love it. Look at this.
But let's talk about the actual unit that I am the only. Well, am I the only one in this gathering that hasn't pulled Big Dick Noctis?
I haven't got him.
Oh, you haven't either.
As is standard.
Yeah, but I mean, Dream, you didn't even pull, probably, right?
I didn't either.
I did 10 pulls.
Okay.
Cotton pitied him. So.
Yeah. So before we go into the unit, I just need to share a story that's kind of bittersweet. It gave me very mixed emotions. Like that time I saw this really hot guy in high school and I was like, it's like, is this really? Yeah, but
okay, hurry it along.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Anyway, so I was pulling on the Noctis banner and then a rainbow bursts into envy and I'm like, oh, this is it. Oh my God, Daddy Noctis is slapping me with his dick in my face. But it was a Noctis. Guess who it was? Well, some of you know.
It was the worst NV base unit.
It was Cloud. No, was it Aerith?
Yeah, it was Aerith. Aerith.
So like I said, it was the worst NV base unit.
So here's the thing. Like there I'm sitting and I'm like, I'm hitting it. And then my brain immediately registers, oh, it's not Noctis. And I get disappointed. And then I see who it actually is. And I'm like, oh, but this is good. It was a really weird feeling. And
you finally got
I did finally get her, and that I'm really, really happy about. I really am. It's just that I don't know who I'd rather want. That's my big problem right now. Like if I had to choose, yeah. It's like also I'm a sucker for sheets. So let's talk about the unit, and you're gonna find out why.
Well,
so the first thing I want to mention,
the big exciting news.
All three of us are so excited to talk about this shit.
All at once, yeah.
Global exclusive buffs are back.
Yeah,
I know.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay, hold on. Let's not go into the unit. Let's just talk briefly about that. So, Noctis, CB Noctis, got a global exclusive buffs. What are your takes on this? Why do you think this happened?
Okay, so I have a running theory on this, and let me go first. This is the first time we've seen a global exclusive buff in like what, a year, and I mean
No,
a
it is
meaningful,
first.
no, a
Well,
meaningful
a
buff.
big one, yeah.
Yeah, a meaningful one, because we've seen like, I don't know, mana additions to Envy Soul. Fine, that's fine. But for a meaningful global exclusive buff, this is the first time in quite a while. There must have been a change in something. And my thought process is, if anyone's seen, you know, Envy Tifa and Envy Aerith in JP last 2 weeks, and then now Envy Sephiroth, we know there's like, you know, big power creep coming. And suddenly they introduce CB Noctis as if he actually rivals Hawkeye in damage if you STMR gear him correctly. So what's going on? I feel like both games are just decided, you know, let's amp up the power level for some reason, which I can't explain, but it has to be a unanimous decision between both servers, is what I'm saying.
I was thinking maybe more like, because the release of Tifa and Sephiroth has created like quite a lot of empty space in the power curve below them, so there is now a lot more room to comfortably kind of fill that, but still be below where it's going to reach.
Yeah, and one thing I heard is that Noctis and Arden actually came out at a really weird spot in the game where they were kind of, you know, they were decent, but then quite quickly after them, there was quite a big power spike. So some people in the Discord were saying that this is a buff that kind of evens that out a bit.
Yeah, there was not much hype for Noctis before these buffs, I don't think.
Yes.
So I think, yeah, that's
I mean, besides, he was actually beaten by CP Noctis at release, right? Like, CP Noctis was the better unit.
Kind of.
It's
We should probably talk about what
like,
actually changed with him.
this, yeah.
So his LB is now full at the start of the battle if he starts in his base form. His jump only has him spend 1 turn in the air instead of 2, and it has a higher modifier. Is there anything else that changed?
Yeah, it's 100 instead of 83.
Okay.
No, it was just those 3 things.
Which is huge. I mean, obviously, first of all,
like,
for his average damage, that's amazing.
Yeah,
because
spending less time in the air is a very big deal in terms of sustained damage. Right now, on the wiki damage spreadsheet, he is doing 810 billion damage per turn. And for context, the second highest unit is Terra at like 480 billion. So
is Terra the second highest?
Yeah, Terra and Shuiyu are both around 480.
Yeah. Because we don't count Shuiyu with Lightning STMR, right? Yeah, we don't.
And this is even compounded by the fact that if you STMR him, he actually does more damage than Hawkeye and JP in the same STMR rankings. So his power is now relative to what basically was a month after his release.
Yeah.
I do want to say, though, there's a few things to keep in mind here. The first is that he's basically light locked. Most of his damage comes from his jump, which is innately light element. So if it's a boss that absorbs or is immune to light, he's not going to do any damage. If it's a boss that's resistant to light, he's going to do significantly less.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, he's still
that's his main downside. But
and the only, I guess, like because he's gonna hit hard AF. I mean, he hits so hard that being off element in DV, he's still gonna be your strongest finisher. That's how hard he hits.
Yeah.
He hits also so consistently. It's not like last gen where sometimes you will have off turns of damage because you need to wait until his LB is full. No, this guy can literally just spam jump every turn. And I mean, you want to fit in his Sword and Peril, ideally, but technically you could skip it and it's only a 25% damage loss, I think.
Yeah.
So
yeah. In Trials, you'll probably also want to use his like cooldown buff as well, because he's like, unlike say Edgar, and this is partly why he like pulls so far ahead on say the wiki sheet, is he's a lot more self-sufficient with the buffs that he does, because he's got the full imbue 120 imperil, 20% amp.
Yeah, exactly.
300.
But then he's also he's kind of ending up in this same region as I guess Venera in a bit where his floor is really high, right? I'm not saying his ceiling is not high as well, because this unit blows up if you start gearing him for STMRs, but he's, you know, you can't do much externally for him. He does everything he needs himself.
Yeah.
I think you still kind of can, because external buffing lets him jump more frequently, and also with his sort of natural cycle, there's some of the buffs do drop off for
actually, that's going to help him with sustained damage, but not so much
with burst.
Yeah,
he can fully support his max burst pretty much.
And I mean, even Wailed Out, I know we don't talk much about that, but it's like sometimes it's nice to look at. But even when it's whaled out. So in the whale sheets, Shui Yu is the queen, or was before Noctis. She did like a shit ton of damage thanks to Lightning STMR. But Noctis more than doubles her damage there as well. So he's just insanely strong with these two changes. And I mean, the changes were extreme. Like, they sound small, but 1 turn less jump damage and like what, 20% more damage or something like that.
He got 17 times more modifiers on this jump, which is huge if we think that Noctis can cap jump so easily with 2 Chronicle battle weapons.
He's a very simple unit, though, and I do want to complain about this a bit because I really enjoyed CP Noctis for being quite a rich unit. You can do a lot of cool stuff with him. CP Noctis is like, he has a jump ability. That's what you use, and you do damage with it.
To be fair, I prefer this over a bloated kit where you don't use 70% of their abilities.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't think that's what CP Noctis was.
Everything you need.
Yeah, I agree with Dream.
And pretty much all of his abilities are useful at some point.
Almost all, but yeah.
Yeah, the least useful one is probably his, base form Grandis ability.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant CP Noctis.
But even then Oh, no. He has lots that you probably won't use.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think is worth mentioning is the time, as Dream mentioned, at the time of his release, it was really awkward because I think it was like the few banners after they released CG Zidane, NB Zidane, and we all know how big Zidane was, and then Hawkeye, and then they went on like a ridiculous mountain climb and power curve. And Noctis and basically in extension Arden were left behind. But in GL, 2 things happened. Noctis got a huge buff, and Arden was split from the banner. Now, we can theorize why Arden was split, but it's probably because they wanted pad content.
Yeah,
it would be hilarious if Arden isn't buffed, though. And I could see that happening for some reason.
Nah. I mean,
this is the inferior one.
Also, like, I seem to remember them being very, very similar on JP release, or people
they're the exact same unit with different elements.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're basically.
So I'm pretty sure they're going to get exactly the same buffs.
They might have a different.
I feel like if they weren't going to buff one, they would not buff Noctis because he has the CG and he's the protagonist, and everybody.
Arden has a CG.
Oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they released the unbuffed one first.
Yeah.
Try to bait people out that like Final Fantasy 15.
You'd think that would make sense.
Yeah, let's see.
We'll see, because they're not known for always.
I
making
also
decisions
want to do my typical thing
sense.
here. TM. We don't really have to talk about that. It's a sword with jump damage. Nobody really cares that much.
His STMR is so pog, though.
His STMR is very good. It has very high attack. It has jump damage. It has undead killer. Even has some light resist. Good stuff there. His card is... It's tied with Riku's card for being the best card for physical attackers in general. 80% attack when using a sword. 110 base attack. And then for Final Fantasy 15 units, it adds some resist and jump damage, which is probably only relevant for Noctis and Arden.
One thing I want to point out is that Noctis's card is, I think, the only permanent card that's 110 now. So
yes. Well, it's one of only 2 cards is 110. The other one is limited, so yes.
Yeah.
So
he's a
nice
fucking
unit.
great
I
unit.
mean, everything about him is good. You want the vision card, you want the STMR. TMR is the only thing you can be like meh about, because what you actually want to wear on this dude is CP Noctis's STMR.
Even then, I think his TM is... It's not amazing, but it gives you... At the start of the battle, it gives you a 10% buff to light damage. So, like, in Dark Visions, you could put this on the other form of a unit that's dealing light damage, but doesn't have a light amp.
Yeah, you can do the same sort of thing as you do with like
Yep.
Primal Cause or Envy Reign.
So if you have a few copies of that, you could skip over bringing Kyrie or whatever unit. Like, it's a weaker amp, obviously, but freeing up the unit slot could be worth it.
I know you guys are trying to move on to Chronicle battles by linking this to CP Noctis STMR, but I'm going to stop you right there and interject with some lore. See, CB Noctis, from the looks of his kit, is based on late game Noctis from FF15. What's really frustrating about this kit, though, CB. Now, CB Noctis...
Why would you say that?
Because CB Noctis, because at the end of FF15, the way that the gameplay works is that it works on chaining. In the beginning of the game, Warp Strike is what you do. It is a jump. It's a kind of a jump ability / finishing ability. But later on in the game, you're chaining various different kinds of moves. And I wish CB Noctis wasn't a jumper, but like, a chainer of sorts. The other thing is that his Brave Shift form is actually his Old Man Noctis outfit. So I wish they didn't put him in Young Man Noctis's, form. But I guess Old Man Noctis doesn't sell. So that's my little rant.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not so sure. Well, like, why would you say he is based on late game Noctis? Really, because like nothing is really linking him to late game Noctis, as you said.
The moves.
Well, they are not, right? As you said.
I
No.
haven't actually played or finished 15, but he has full armor in his LB. Isn't that an endgame thing?
Yes, that's an endgame thing.
Yeah, but I mean, so does CP Noctis too.
The thing about
Right,
CP Noctis that I kind of wrote off was that CP Noctis maybe it was pre-time skip, but CP Noctis seems like it's supposed to be post-time skip, especially with.
Yeah, but I don't see that at all because like he doesn't look like it.
I want to complain that his name is Cobalt Blade Noctis. Could they have picked literally anything that didn't sound so much like CP Noctis?
I know.
Yeah.
Gosh, Azure Blade Noctis was right there.
Yeah.
Sometimes I really think they should just ask the wiki guys who do the translation to
good
translate the
enough.
units.
I'm really looking forward to scoring of Degumin, guys.
So, but let's talk about Chronicle battles.
Throwback.
And before we do that, I just want to lament the fact that in JP, well, of course, we're getting a lot of changes, so we shouldn't jump to conclusions. But I mentioned this in the Tuesday Newsday pod as well. In JP, CP Noctis was actually or got enhancements on the release of this banner, and CP Noctis was a monster on the release of this banner. Like he wailed out, did
Yeah, not so much in burst, but
Yeah.
in DPT he could be very good with the full support.
Yeah,
and Relic
you had to like give him a lot.
massage,
But like if you
therapy,
gave him a
etc.
lot, he was like the highest DPT in the game at that point.
Is he had a lot of potential.
But we're not getting that. Like we didn't get any. We got the STMR upgrade, so we're gonna talk about that in Chronicle Battles. But we didn't get Noctis, and I don't know what that means for the game.
That's probably going to come with Arden, assuming that Arden comes next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say hold out at least a couple weeks because A, there's the Arden thing, we haven't got half the banner yet, and B, enhancements have almost always been on the last week of the month in GL.
Yeah.
So
I've already seen people preemptively go for their pitchforks the last few days. It's way too early for that, guys. Just hold on until the end of the month. I mean, if he's still not out by then you can get your pitchforks.
Yeah,
if Arden's
but
already
one
released.
thing that happened this week is we got it's called the Chronicle battle, and this is replacing like the Pog boss battles where you farmed the emblems to upgrade units. Instead, now there's like 10 difficulties that you can do. You should do the highest one that you can clear reasonably, and you fight Ifrit in this one. And the boss drops a lot of the Brave Insignia, and then he also drops like these special coins, and you can use them to upgrade gear, specifically Crown Prince Noctis's STMR and Arenea's Helm, which is an event item from an old event, and then you can get another one from this thing that's going on right now. And the upgrade, like the helmet is not particularly special, but CP Noctis's STMR goes up to 234 attack, which is, I believe, the highest attack of any weapon in the game right now.
By one, yes.
Yeah, currently I think it is.
Does Gilgamesh Spirit beat it? I forget.
I think.
Yeah, they are
I think
234.
It matches, actually.
Yeah.
I think they're both 234.
So 234 attack, 100% LB damage,
50.
and then, 100% jump damage.
No, not that either.
No, 50% jump damage and 350 flat attack only for FF15 units. But
I think it's specifically versions of Noctis and Arden get the 350 flat attack and the jump damage, but the 234 attack and 50% LB damage is very top tier by itself and
a sword that is the highest attack weapon in the game also has 50% LB, 50% jump. That's just silly and strong.
Not that this matters, but it still has the 100 flat MP.
It actually kind of matters sometimes.
But it's nice to have. It's just if they took that away, I don't think anybody would care that much.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying it's not nothing. So
it's an amazing upgrade, and obviously you should take all of your CP Noctis STMRs through the grind when you have the time, because it's an amazing weapon.
Speaking of when you have the time, we should say this is a permanent thing. It does not expire. You don't have to farm it right away.
Yes, I've seen
but
some
it's going to be a significant grind. You need a total.
It's not that bad. Okay. Here's
it'll be significant if you don't have bonus units.
With the GL.
Okay, so here's the thing.
With the GL changes, the first one is actually really quite reasonable.
Yeah.
Even without much bonus, because I think they halved one of the materia costs on the
And
like,
increase the amount of
stages.
drops.
And then we have.
So
we
what
also
was
get
actually
much more
reduced was, I
bonus,
think somebody said, it's the pogs. The insignia required is actually halved from what JP requires to get it to +4. The medals and insignias actually drop twice the amount per every battle than it does in JP. And then there's a thing that and I guess this is my introduction. The farm isn't as bad as people have been led to believe. I obviously had a big amount of bonus units, but even if you don't, you can take the free Nyx, which is an EX +1, which is already a decent bonus unit, and a friend EX +2 unit that could be a Nyx or anything else. That alone is like, I think so the EX +2 is 150%, and that'll be 250%. So that wouldn't be so bad in comparison to what people are expecting.
Also, I think it's worth saying with these bonuses that only Noctis and Nyx are giving bonus currency. The rest of the FF15s just get bonus stats, so feel free to replace them with any other units that help you clear it better. And also, I think
yes, not at 7-star, not at 7.
That's
NV Nyx.
All any NV rarities. But the other thing is with the way the bonus per EX level scales, it's generally better to upgrade the EX levels on one unit than have multiple copies at low EX.
Especially
levels.
if you
nice because it's a pain when you want to fill in a team with 4 of a unit, but then you have trouble killing it.
100%.
So I'm glad they did it this way.
And also, speaking of adding more units, if you're not in a rush to farm this immediately, the future FF15 NV units, like all the other NVAs and Arden and Lunafreya and stuff, they should all also be added as bonus units for this one.
I don't. Maybe they will, and who knows about that one. But one thing that someone did mention is that FF15 had 3 different Chronicle battles. So,
obviously,
someone said it was 3. I thought it was 2 as well, but maybe it's only 2.
Because there's nothing on Arden.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And then the
Lunafreya
one,
the Lunafreya one, But at least in JP, every series is a bonus for every Chronicle battle of that series.
Yeah, and I mean, again, even with limited bonus, you're actually still the grind is much easier than in JP.
There's 2 other things I want to mention about this that are very nice. The first is that you use the insignia to upgrade the weapon, the items. But they're the same insignia. They're the same insignia you use for Pogs for upgrading unit abilities, and you get so many of them that it means it's ludicrously easy to upgrade unit abilities. Yeah, you're going to get
abilities basically
you
free
need
now.
15,000 to upgrade this weapon to maximum, and you're getting hundreds of them per run, which is more than you need.
Yeah. Plus, from the mission rewards of just clearing each of the 10 levels first time, I think you get crazy. 10 or 12,000.
So you don't ever have to worry about that again for any unit that needs upgrades that has a Chronicle battle.
And that's good to hear, because Pogs were one of the infuriating things, because if you pulled a unit, you had to wait 2 or 3 weeks to actually run them to the Pogs and get all of their moves. So
And the other thing, which is even more important, is that the first stage of the Chronicle battle
he's gonna say it
gives Moogle Charm. Which is an accessory that gives 50% draw chance.
Yes.
And some elemental resists.
And it's permanent.
Yep.
Bless permanent Moogle Charm. Now we just need Iris in the permanent pool, and
I'm not sure they stack.
Story Digest.
I don't know. I don't know what the rules are behind stacking, because if the ability is the same name, they don't stack, right? That's how it works.
No, that is not how it works. How it works is they stack if Alan and let them stack, and otherwise they don't. And there's no consistency.
There's no rhyme or reason to it. And
so
Sinzar told me it does, and he's going to try using both of them in videos.
Okay, so if you try them,
I'm pretty sure it does.
They don't stack,
because double wrapped gift
direct
stacks.
your complaints to Sinzar, not us.
Right. Also, but while we're talking about stacking, does Noctis's sword stack?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Even for other. Well, actually, the LB damage always did. I know that.
Yeah, the LB damage always did. The Noctis unique passive also stacks.
So that's why bestness law form is 2 times Noctis sword.
Yeah, because that's 700 attack just from those passives, and then it also has 234 base attack and all the other stuff.
Yeah,
it is crazy.
It is crazy, and it doesn't require as much grind as it did in JP, which is great news.
getting the second one is still going to be a pretty significant grind. Like if you're
less.
running 3 EX1 units, like your own Noctis, your own Nyx, and then a friend EX1 unit, you're getting 40 per run. So that's what, like 50 runs.
Well, I had something something a lot better. I was getting 50 per run on average, right? And it took me 100. I started the day off with 400 pots ish potions, and then ended the day with like 260. So it's not like it takes you thousands or hundreds. It only takes you about 200 at most pots to go through.
Yeah, 50 runs is 1,000 energy. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. It's not bad at all. And besides, it does give you like there are many no energy weeks in FFBE.
Yes.
And I mean often you kind of get what you need from the MK quite fast, etc. So you're always gonna have there's always gonna be downtime to put into grinding this. And Noctis is so fucking strong that even if you only have one of his swords, you're good, bro. You can like still destroy everything and just keep grinding the last one.
I do
Slowly.
want to point out that if you have a lot of spare energy pots, it's probably still better to grind this like this week or next week, because a lot of people are going to have Nyx or Noctis up as a friend.
And I wanted to bring this
That
up
is
too,
true.
because if you haven't, there's a lot of EX plus 2 Noctis or Nyx up right now. That probably won't be true a month from now. Maybe Noctis will be there, but no Nyx for sure. But because
I mean, if you want the super easy option, do it during the Lunar Freya event. But otherwise now is a pretty good time for
that's
unit
I think the way
availability.
I at least internalize saying, hey, it's a good idea because I have all these bonus unit friends. But in a matter like if in a world where energy pots don't matter, I mean, it's up to you. Technically, if you want it now, just go for it. So
yeah. Do we want to move on to the last topic?
Wait, before we do that, I want to talk about the MK because somebody brought it up. But the MK, there is a change where EX plus units get additional percentage bonus on EP. Now, I only bring this up because EP is much more important to us right now than MK currency. Everyone clears out the MK shop like it's nothing in the first day or two. So if you want to get to whatever the last grind is for this one, not on the 80k EP usually, you want your EX plus your units for better rates on that. So yeah.
It's not huge. It's like 20% for EX1 unit, right? No, 10% per EX level, right? Yeah.
Yeah, 10%.
10% for EX1, and then 20 on 30.
It's not going to move the needle much.
I mean, it's still something after 100 runs. That's still quite a bit.
Sure.
I mean, like, hey, if you end up with 2 Nyxes on EX3 and 1 Noctis on EX3, then it's 90%, so it's twice as fast almost. But that's quite a powerful scenario.
That's an extreme case, but like a standard case of like your units plus EX2 friends, you might be
and you also
like
want to ask the question
more.
and I had a lot of Nyxes lying around. Like, do you want a second EX0 Nyx, or do you want to like an additional level on the EX plus? Because for me, the MK currency wasn't an issue. For me, I want to get the EP points faster.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would say between this and how the Chronicle battles scale, it's better to go for higher EX levels now.
But the other thing that happened this week is we got 3-star Bahamut.
I bet we all cleared it, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
that was quote unquote trial.
So just to like we talked about this a bit in the Newsday post as well, but so the trial itself isn't that difficult. All you need to do is guard for 3 turns and you defeat it, right?
Well,
you want to summon an esper and throw an item technically, but yeah,
I mean, sure, missions,
or
right?
you can just have like a unit hide.
Yeah, basically just don't hit it.
Yeah, and no, and I was just gonna say, and it's cool because there's this cosmetic award this time around. If you actually kill it, you're supposed to kill it with an LB. Yeah, if you're insane, like Sinzar. And I love this. I love to bring this up because Sinzar made a video of him killing Bahamut on day 1, and it's pretty cool because in his video he does this jump between turn 18 and 343, I think. And the funny thing about it is that, like, you as a YouTube viewer, you just get to see it. Him going from like happy, cheery Sinzar voice to like,
kill me now.
Dead. It's like I am dead inside Sinzar. it's like because he actually sat there for several hours just repeating the same 5-turn pattern for you.
Yeah, it's like 3 hours of Bahamut cycles. Yeah, this thing is.
But I mean, he did probably was like the first and maybe still the only one in GL to actually
No,
have
there's a
done
few people that
the
done
round,
it.
but okay,
There's a few people on our Discord too. I mean,
Yeah, there's probably
Yeah.
like
yeah.
dozens. Yeah.
there are dozens.
Well,
of them.
I mean,
dozens.
I was asking like
apparently,
mid, yeah, sorry. So midway through this, I was like, I think 2 hours after server reset, I messaged Cinzar. I was like, so how far along on you? And he showed me a screenshot, and he was like, apparently, like turn 78 or something at the time. And then, and I said, like, what's the reward? Why are you doing this? And he just said, my PP grows bigger. So
yeah,
that's
of course.
that's probably a good reason to do this, guys. 400 turns to make your
I
PP
mean,
slightly grow bigger.
if you have the time, it's a fun thing to do. Well, fun is relative terms, you know. Everyone
No,
gets
it's
to
not.
define their own version of fun. Did you know that some people get aroused by dressing up as
That's
furniture?
our show for today, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Furniture? That's not
We'll
normal.
see you all next week.
No, but hold on.
Christmas stuff.
I need to say a serious thing that's not about sex. I might go into sex later, but I do want to say that it seemed, or looking at Cinzar's video, like you can do it. It's not super difficult. You need a specific setup, but it's not like it's not a damage race. It's not something that might be unattainable to you. So if you really want to spend 3 hours of your life, you can do it. Go watch the
It's
video.
possible. And the thing is, it's not hard because people. Basically the strategy is remember 3 years ago when we used the re-race trick on like I don't know what was it, Omega or not Omega. It was that robot trial with 2 arms. But anyways, that's the sort of shit that you have to do here. You have to re-race through everything. So
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's basically like AOE guts, re-raise, revives, auto cover, and then just kind of cheese indefinitely.
I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
It lands
amounts
damage,
of
your units
that
die.
I usually see like when I'm attacking enemies in Dark Visions, not when enemies are attacking me.
But one thing that's so sad is that, like, you know, oh, it's this difficult trial, although it really isn't. It's just a slogfest because they still haven't figured out how to actually do a difficult trial. Yeah, this trial is difficult because it kills anything it snorts at, and takes forever to kill.
the
But-
difficulty is 6666. Did you guys realize that? Like if you
But-
go on
yeah,
Yeah, it's like it's not supposed to be, at least currently,
it's a meme.
a standard hard trial.
Yeah, I don't mind having it. It's just
supposed
like
to be like an impossible meme wall that you can cheese.
Yeah.
I do wish that they would make fights that were challenging that weren't bullshit.
yeah.
Yeah,
Should I
because
make
people
the
need
free
it.
star
Absolutely.
isn't
I would
really
be
the place for
annoyed
that.
if it
Do
was
that in regular
hard
trials.
to beat and a good esper was locked behind it.
And honestly, this is in a much better place than the other espers. When we got some challenging espers, I remember especially back in the day when the 2-star started dropping. Those were actually challenging enough that some players couldn't clear them. That could be super frustrating.
Like, was it Golem or Titan? There was one that just like absolutely shit.
Titan. It was Titan, I think. No, it was Titan.
I think in that era, all of them had were challenging-ish. Like even Carbuncle had like mechanics and had requirements.
Leviathan was hard.
Yeah, Leviathan too.
Yeah, most of
Yeah.
the 3-star Esper fights were pretty decent on
Leviathan,
release,
I remember
and
people as being
Leviathan
giant
especially
pain
was
in
one
the
of the
ass
harder
'cause he
ones.
berserked your tank.
Oh yeah. But this is a nice trade-off.
Yeah, he had some annoying.
This is kind of a thing where anyone can get it. All you
type
need to do is
things.
just not do damage, defend for 3 turns, and you're good. And yeah, sure, you can try to do the missions
Well,
as well, of course.
You can get him, but you won't get him level 60 anytime soon, unless you have like shit. Well, unless you're. See,
But I don't have enough esper ore to max him.
He's not that.
Exactly. I mean, it's really good.
Yeah, his grid is
Exactly,
crazy
incredibly
expensive, but it does
I
have a lot
like
of good stuff on it.
Several years worth of relics saved up, and I could get him like a quarter of the way to max.
Jeez.
With relics, it's fucking absurd. You need 1,200 relics, and I have enough to make you need 1,200 ore, and I have enough to make like 300.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
So
like
it's a very, very long
15
grind.
or 18k relics. I think I'm
guys are-
like
spend a bunch of my
60%
relics
of the
to
way
max
there or
out
something.
some other esper. I forget which one.
You guys are crazy. I stopped doing expeditions a year ago, and I need to do them now again.
Yeah, you really do.
Yeah, I've just kept them rolling over and haven't done that much with ore on my other espers, so I've got a fair amount. But yeah, so with his grid, he now has 50% physical and magic killer for all 12 races, as well as a 50% break damage bonus physical and magical. So, and that's when like the break gauge is depleted. So ironically, Bahamut helps you kill Bahamut.
He does. And I think one of the, I guess, big things to talk about with Bahamut, or what he does, is that he literally gives you the 50% bonus damage to broken units if you can get him up to that level. And that's a huge thing, because you can give that to any unit. It stacks with the bonus that unit might have. So like last roll goes to 120%, which is fucking dumb against breakable bosses.
Yeah.
So it is really strong, but it is a huge grind. And I said this on the Newsday post too. I welcome this. I welcome something that you actually get to build up towards, and that is rewarding your time spent in the game. I don't mind. I really don't mind. I'm not sad about this.
Now, if they can give us a way to turn super sites into esper
or
ores,
just
that would
make
be
it so that we
great.
get esper ore from things other than expedition relics.
Yes, please. There has to be other sources, like raids
Yeah,
or
we
something.
haven't had an event at all for anything of that kind in a long time.
Yeah, I had 16 regular esper ore, and I think I've had those for, I don't know, a very long time.
I mean, it would be cool, like, if every MK had like 100 or something to buy, kind of like it has with Moogles or with Cactars.
Before they do that, I want to see them add the Ring
Oh,
of
yeah,
Dominion
that'd be
mats
nice.
to Nog King.
No, God, let's stop talking about the Ring of
just
Dominion.
one material for each Nog King, so it takes you 6 months to make a ring.
Okay.
Or 9 months or whatever. No, just one period.
Well, if it was one of each type, it would only be 3, but... Oh, okay. Well, God, that'd be annoying if it like gave the
Is
one
Ring of
like,
Dominion even good anymore?
you didn't need.
It's fine for tanks.
Oh, okay, because 50% HP, I think. Yeah.
It's a good tank accessory still.
I honestly don't know that you would use it on tanks anymore these days. Just
like HP, defense, and spirit.
Like, there's not stuff that gives more raw effective health, but there's stuff where you can only get it from the accessory slot, and you really want that instead.
Yeah. And I mean, there's stuff that's already really close, like even fucking Shera's
Sometimes it still definitely would be that.
is close enough that it won't matter that much.
Yeah, or with the rise of equipment stats, you might want something with flat defense and spirit.
Exactly. More that, actually, than anything.
Listen, I know we're about to close off, and
we really
need to do though. But there's one thing that I wanted to mention about Nyx. 2 Nyxes you might want to keep for arena.
What? Stop doing weird arena strats.
I'm just saying.
Why? If you want people with AoE basic attacks, wait for the ones that chain.
Yeah. It's 999 damage, and if you equip like lightning and the spear, then you get like 4 attacks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's nothing.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally
it's not banned, is what I'm saying. So
but
yeah, that's true.
Wait for like Belmera if you really want to do that kind of stuff.
Podcast.
Hey,
how we would do that, but we would do it.
I mean, you're making it sound like people actually listen to the podcast, and we would have someone to ban. But that's cute.
That's besides the point, and I think that's where we need to wrap up the show, where no one listened.
Thanks, the imaginary people that are listening.